Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a single powerful African philosophy, one that has shaped an entire nation, inspired world leaders, and honestly, offers a pretty profound challenge to the way we live today. It's called Ubuntu.
Now, I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, right? It's so elegant, so simple. It speaks to this deep truth about how we're all connected. But its real meaning goes so much deeper than just a catchy slogan. It's an entire worldview. Because that's where things get complicated. I mean, what happens when a beautiful philosophy about community and compassion gets tested by politics, by money, by human nature? That's the real question we're getting into today.
All right, let's get into it. To really understand the challenges, we first have to unpack what the core philosophy of Ubuntu is all about.
So, at its heart, Ubuntu isn't just about, being nice. It's this core belief that a person is only a person through other people. Our identity, our growth, our very humanity, it's not some solo project. It's something that's created and held together within the community.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates that fundamental difference. You've got the Western tradition, summed up by Descartes, which puts the individual mind, the I, right at the center of everything. But Ubuntu completely flips that. It says our very existence is defined by our connections to each other. It's a massive shift from I to we.
And it's really fascinating when you see how that one core difference plays out in real life. In a typical Western view, right, personal rights and individual success, they're the top priority. But under Ubuntu, it's the well-being of the whole community that guides your choices. Your success is totally tied to the group's success. And morality isn't just about what you believe personally, but about what's good for everyone.
And look, this wasn't just some abstract philosophical idea. Leaders like Nelson Mandela saw Ubuntu as the actual foundation for building a new South Africa. He knew that progress and healing and freedom, none of that could be achieved alone. It had to be a collective thing, built on recognizing the humanity in one another.
So, with that foundation set, let's take a look at how this philosophy inspired a totally radical new model for justice and for national healing, one that was born out of one of the darkest chapters in modern history. To really get the impact of Ubuntu, you have to understand the deep, deep pain of apartheid. We're talking decades of state-enforced racial segregation that left South Africa with these incredible scars. So, the transition to democracy in the early 90s, that wasn't just a political shift, it was a search for a whole new soul for the country.
And there it is, right there, in the epilogue to the interim constitution. They literally wrote it down. The nation needed understanding, not vengeance. Reparation, not retaliation. The document explicitly calls for Ubuntu to be the bridge from a divided past to a shared future.
This right here is basically the legal version of Ubuntu. Instead of asking, okay, what law was broken and who do we need to punish, restorative justice asks, who was harmed and what can we do to repair that harm? It's a system built on dialogue and reconciliation. The goal is to restore harmony to the community, not just to punish one person. But Ubuntu's influence isn't just stuck in South Africa or in the past. Its core ideas are actually popping up all over the globe and offering solutions to some of our most modern, complex problems. And what's so amazing is you can see this same heartbeat in so many different cultures. From John Donne's poetry back in the 1600s to Latin America's idea of living well with nature, to ancient concepts from China and India. It seems like humanity has always, on some level, understood that we are all deeply connected.
And this idea of shared responsibility is more critical than ever, especially when we look at the technology that's shaping our future. I mean, think about artificial intelligence. It's built on data, and if the data we feed it reflects our existing biases, well, guess what? The AI inherits those same flaws, and it ends up creating a whole new kind of digital exclusion.
So this is where Ubuntu provides this incredibly powerful ethical checklist for building better technology. It forces us to ask, who is actually at the table when this is being built? Who is it really for? And is it lifting up the entire community or just a chosen few? It's all about designing for inclusion from day one. Okay, so now we have to turn to the other side of the story. Because as powerful as this ideal is, its name has also been used to excuse, to deflect, and sometimes to hide some serious wrongdoing. This is where the ideal crashes into a very messy reality. Let's start with a number, 6 million rand.
This represents our $6 million in public money that a former South African communications minister, Dina Pooley, was found to have misused. It was a pretty clear-cut case of corruption. But then, during the hearing, something just wild happened. The head of the ethics committee actually suggested that because she showed remorse, because she cried, she deserved sympathy. And he framed this call for leniency as an act of Ubuntu.
And this just raises a devastating question, doesn't it? Is Ubuntu a call for compassion that lets people off the hook? True Ubuntu is about shared responsibility and the health of the community. So to use it to defend someone who actively harmed that very community, it's a profound and frankly a dangerous distortion.
And this tension isn't just in big political scandals. It can show up even in traditions that are meant to be good. Expressing community support during a funeral, for example, is a core part of Ubuntu. But when those traditions morph into these really long, incredibly expensive events, they can literally plunge a grieving family into debt. And that outcome seems to completely contradict the spirit of lifting each other up.
This debate goes all the way to the top, even to the most celebrated application of Ubuntu, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Its whole focus was on revealing the truth in exchange for amnesty, a kind of restorative justice. But critics argue that by prioritizing forgiveness over actual, tangible economic reparations, it left the deep financial wounds of apartheid largely unhealed. And that raises some really tough questions about what true reconciliation really requires. So this is where we're left. Is Ubuntu this beautiful, powerful philosophy that might just hold the key to our shared future? Or can it be twisted into a convenient shield to avoid tough accountability? The answer, it seems, really depends on whether we see it as an easy excuse for forgiveness or as a difficult daily commitment to our shared responsibility for one another. And that, right there, is the challenge it leaves for all of us.